Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning into the Reaching New Heights podcast with me, Megan Gallagher. Today, we have such a special guest on the show. She is a badass model, athlete, and health and fitness influencer. She also has played soccer and track and field at UCLA. And during her time on the UCLA women's soccer team in 2013, she scored the goal at the NCAA championship games that made UCLA win. Please help me in giving a warm welcome to Miss Ally Courtnall.
Oh my gosh, what an intro. My goodness. Hi, you guys.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. I am so excited to talk to you today. And your story and everything you've accomplished at such a young age is so remarkable.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. I mean, I really appreciate that. And I mean, just like being an athlete my whole life and, looking back and like seeing all the accomplishments and everything. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but I mean, it's pretty cool hearing it when you say it like that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. So first question I want to ask you is just, where did your main inspirations come from for sports? And how did you get to where you are growing up? Or did you grow up in a sports and fitness family? Or was there one moment that made you love soccer or just being active or track and field specifically?
I mean, I would have to definitely say my dad is my inspiration as far as sports goes. He played in the NHL for 16 years. So I grew up in a very athletic family. My uncle played for 17 years in the NHL. My mom was a dancer. My grandpa played in the NHL. So fitness and like sports has definitely been my family's thing. So I think I kind of just got immersed into it right away as a kid. I always wanted to play sports, and I just saw all of my dad's, like, because my dad went to the Olympics. I saw all of his
Oh my gosh.
jerseys and, his everything to do with the Olympics. And I think from the get-go, I was like, I want to be an athlete. I want to be just like him. I want to represent Canada because we're Canadian as well. So I was like, oh, I want to represent Canada like he did. So I think from the jump, that always was my motivation, just to be like my dad.
Wow, that's so cool. Your family sounds so cool. And I would also love to know, growing up as an athlete, did you ever struggle with any type of anxiety or insecurity? And being an athlete your whole entire life, do you feel that you've had to kind of adapt a certain mindset to like get in the zone or to just push past any worried negative thoughts? Or did you just have an epiphany one day of, oh my gosh, what was like your journey with kind of mental health?
For me, I definitely have struggled with it quite a bit, especially at a young age. I don't think I probably knew what it was at such a young age. Now looking back, I'm like, okay, yeah, I was definitely struggling with this. Just being in a team environment, you don't get to choose your teammates. You don't get to choose your coach. And there's a lot of politics that go into team sports. So I think my journey has always been a little bit harder. I didn't just like make the team the first time. Like
Right.
I would fail because I was too small or too this or so. I think my journey has always been kind of complicated and had a lot of challenges, and I've had to go above and beyond to reach success versus, like there's always the people that try the first time and they get it. And that's never been me from the jump. And I think that's played with my anxiety and my depression quite a bit, because when people are telling you that you can't and you want it so bad,
Right.
you're just so hard on yourself. And especially at a young age, when someone's saying like, you're not good enough, or, this person's better than you,
Yeah.
it's like, it's a really tough pill to swallow. So, I mean, and it went even into high school and with the U.S. women's national team. I remember I got called into my first camp at the U16s, and I was so excited. I felt so good about myself, and I got there. And, we had to do all of these tests, like all these skill challenges. And, some of these girls had been in this camp since they were like 12, 13 years old.
Right.
My first one.
Yeah.
And so they knew exactly what to do. And I was probably at the bottom of the list at all of these challenges, except for like speed. Cause I was
Oh my
always
gosh.
person.
Yeah.
I just thought, and you know what they did is they printed it out and they put it on a board for everybody to look at. So you knew exactly where you were.
Yeah.
And so those types of things really played with my mental health, and I really had to push through. And
oh my gosh.
I feel like if it wasn't for like my club soccer coach telling me that I was good enough, and my parents, and just like having that support system of people that I really, really trusted, I don't think that I would have even gotten to college. And because I did quit in high school, I quit soccer when I was committed to UCLA because I just was so over it. I stopped showing up. I just, I really wasn't into it as much anymore mentally.
Wow.
And I actually quit again in college before we won our national championship. It was
oh my gosh.
before we won. I quit the team. I couldn't stand the coach because politics once again played into
right.
college and who played and who didn't. And I was not playing, even though I was far better than someone, but they were on this national team, so they got
right.
that. And I quit, and then a new coach came in.
Yeah.
Completely different mentality, didn't play into the politics, and asked for me to come back. And, I feel like that was such a turning point for me. And I went through this whole battle of depression. And then I finally had someone that was like, I believe in you, and I know you can do this. And I came back, probably played the best soccer I've ever played in my life. And we won that national championship that year, which was pretty crazy.
That's so just crazy because, and you made so many good points of, for me, especially, I never played sports at that level, but from me, looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so talented. There's so many parts that people don't see that go into it. And especially just, I can't imagine, you're 5 years old, you're 10, you're 12, and you are so passionate about it. And just one coach's opinion or one person like just, oh, well, you should be more like her, or, you did good that time, but it messes with your like confidence.
It really does. And like you could be at the best player. Like I have friends who, they're still playing, they're on the US women's national team, stuff like that. And they're still dealing with stuff like that. And they're at the top level, and there's, people, it doesn't even matter. Like, I mean, even Eric, like with football, there, politics still plays into things, like, and there's certain guys that are frustrated, and they're at the highest level. They're where every player wants to be, and they're still dealing with anxiety and things like that because of, still being told that they're not good enough, even though that they're there and they've clearly proven themselves to be the best of the best. Like it happens at every single level, no matter where you're at.
And I feel like I'm having the biggest epiphany because people literally don't think that. If you're not in the sports world and you're just a fan watching, I mean, unless you're like really educated, but for me, I would never think that, once you've made it to the top, you still struggle with like a coach or just, because to me, it's like, oh my gosh, that person's made it. Their life is like glamorous but they're still a human being.
And no, they really are. And also sometimes it doesn't even have to be a coach. It's really just you and like those inner thoughts in your head telling you that you're not good enough, or you made a mistake and you're just being harder on yourself than you should be. I mean, I see it all the time with people. Like they're the ones that are holding them back from like the true success, because they're not allowing themselves to really be like, you know what, I'm a freaking badass. Like I'm actually really good. It's like people are afraid to talk themselves up. And I always tell my friends, I'm like, you're badass. Why don't you every morning just look in the mirror and just say some nice things to yourself until you start believing it?
Yes.
Because no one's going to do that for you.
No. And I love that because I know I personally struggle. Like I'm a motivational speaker. I go and speak to teenagers and I pump them up. I'm, like Oprah, like you get a car. I'm going insane. But then I have moments where I kind of come home and I feel like I'm like coming off of just that drug and I'm home by myself. And I can sense when the negative thoughts start trickling in of, well, Megan, but your hair kind of look this, or I get that
Mm-hmm.
video back of me speaking and then I just start critiquing and judging. But that's so true, because it's like, why don't we spend the time amping ourselves up?
Yeah. Because I feel like people think it comes off maybe like conceited, or they're just so worried about what other people are going to think. And I'm like, who cares? Because you're the one that has to be with yourself every day. They don't have to be that way. Like, they don't have to be with
Yes.
you. So, everyone's going to have an opinion no matter where you're at in your life. Like, people are going to insert their opinions. I deal with it all the time. It's like, you can't say anything without somebody having to tell you their view on it.
Oh
So,
my
but I'm just
gosh.
saying, you might as well just be happy with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, because that's going to come in regardless.
That's so true. And I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with this too, but I've dealt with so many just trolls on social media and people.
Oh, God.
I mean, I've dealt with like creepy older guys. I've dealt with the weird people who love to say, your forehead's big, you're pale, your arms. And I'm like, help. Like,
I
are you a
don't
normal
understand
person?
it.
Are you a normal person?
I will never ever understand people going to somebody's DMs that they don't even know and writing out a message that is hurtful or, condescending, just negative, any
Ew.
sort of negativity
Right.
to someone that they don't even know. Like, I read some of these messages sometimes and I'm like, and it's funny because a lot of people will send a message and they're like, oh, well, I'm not, but I love you though, or like this. And I'm like, but that's not anything that I would ever say to somebody that I love or that somebody that I
Right.
admire. Like, I wouldn't write out that message. And I don't know. I just can't even imagine going to somebody that I don't even know and inserting my opinion, especially when it's negative. Like, you can have an opinion. I'm never going to tell
Yeah.
somebody that they can't, but do you really have to go out of your way to write it to make that person feel bad about themselves? I
Yeah.
don't get it. And I always respond to them and I go, how would you feel if someone sent you this message? Or if every time you posted something, someone commented back something negative about what you just said? How would that make you feel? And a lot of the times people don't respond because I'm sure that they think about it and they're like, oh, I'm kind of an asshole.
Right. And I mean, first of all, I'm like, the fact that you're following me, that fact that
that's even worse.
You're liking my picture. Are you a fan? I mean, what, like, you're taking the time to comment. So clearly you want my attention. So what's going on here?
Yeah. What do you want to accomplish from this?
I don't know. Trolls. Ew. Anyways, I also would love to know, have you ever had in your whole career, just being an athlete and playing in college and also all of your fitness, health, cooking with Courtnall, I love that. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like, I've finally made it, or just, maybe you were playing soccer and a little girl asked for your autograph or something where you just had that connection with your younger self of, oh my gosh, my dreams, they're happening kind of right now?
I definitely would say when I came back to play soccer at UCLA, and then that year that we won the national title, I feel like that was kind of a moment where I'm like, everything that I've ever done, like everything that I've pushed myself to do, like has gotten me to this place. And I finally just felt like, you know what, like I deserve to be here. Like, I know I'm good enough to be here. And even like we didn't win my senior year, but like just going into that year, I felt like I was just at this kind of like this place where I was at this calm, like ease, where I wasn't so hard on myself. I finally felt good enough. Like I finally felt validated. And it was interesting because then I was finally getting calls back from the U.S. women's national team, the U23s. I was like, all these opportunities were starting to come in for soccer, but I was kind of at a place where I'm like, you know what, this is kind of where I want it to end. Like I want to end in a really like great place, in a great relationship. I always was the type where I'm like, I know I don't want to go pro. I just wanted to know that I could. And like, when the draft was coming up, I saw where I was going, and like and then the US women's national team was calling, and I'm like, okay, this is great. I just needed all of this to just know that I could do it, but I didn't really want to. I didn't love it enough to keep going. But like winning that national title, I finally was like, yeah, this was the moment that like really changed things for me.
That's so incredible, and good for you too. I love what you said about you just kind of knew, like you had that self-awareness and you just knew in your gut or in your heart, I don't want to go pro, or I love that you had that, because I think it's easy, at least for me, to get in this mindset of, once I release another book, once it gets here, once it's kind of, once, but I'm like, I want to be happy and proud now.
Yeah. And I think, and I feel like I'm trying to carry that on into this next chapter of life. Everyone's always like, well, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? Like, what do you want to do after modeling? What do you want? And I'm like, you know what? I'm really just trying to embrace like the little successes that I get here and there with like the modeling, or just like, even with like mental health and growth and just talking about it with others and opening up. That was really big for me, sharing that on social media and like just working out and sharing my workouts and just helping others. I feel like everything has kind of turned. I don't feel like I'm ever going to have a you made it moment, like as far as like that goes in my next chapter. It's more like I just want to help people. And, even if it's one person, like I think that's like my next motivation. And I feel like if I just take that with me in every chapter of life of wanting to like spread the wealth and like help others, like I'm always going to feel satisfied with what I'm doing.
Yes. And you for sure have helped more than one person, girl. Your Instagram always inspires me.
Thank you.
All of your posts about whether it's a really good meal, and it's like I love your pictures of your dinner meals and the food, and just, I feel like you're so real.
Thank you. I mean, social media is so tough, because I think when it first started, it was so amazing because no one really knew what it was. So everyone was just kind of posting whatever the hell they wanted. Like I was thinking about all the stuff I used to post, and I'm like, man, I wish it was kind of like that now, because now it's just everything's so perfect, and people have apps where they can like put an order of what they want to post. They know what it looks like before it's on there. And I just feel like we've lost this authenticity and just being genuine and real, and everyone, we're leading people kind of like in the wrong direction because they think like this is what they need to look like in order to be happy, or they need to travel here to be happy, or because everyone just is showing their highlight reels. And I'm like, come on, like it's okay to show that you're having a bad day. Like it's okay to like just let people know that you're not feeling good, and that there's other shit that's going on in your life, like even though you want to show this photo where you look perfectly happy.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So true. So I also would love to know, Ally, if you could sit with your teen self, or whatever age you felt that you were struggling, and if you could tell her just anything, any piece of advice, what would you tell her?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I think just for me personally, I feel like my personality, I'm a Cancer. I don't know if you're into horoscopes at all, but
I am.
Okay. Cancers tend to be grudge holders. And that is something that I have really, really had to work on. Like, it's just not holding on to things. And I wish I could tell my young self to just let it go. Like, let it go has been my statement. Like, is it really worth holding on to for a couple hours, a couple days, couple weeks, couple months? Like, is it worth it?
Oh
no,
my gosh.
Probably not. Like, and perspective has been a big thing. So I think I wish I could just tell my young self, like, it's fine, just let it go, because I would have had way less stress and anxiety if I had just done that when I was younger.
Oh my gosh. I'm a Scorpio too. Like
water signs.
I relate to that. I've held on to stuff for years.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, but I've also really realized, I'm the only person that it is hurting. I can't, use my mind to like, just be like, I hate you, or 2 years ago you said that one comment. It's like, it's okay to let it go. It doesn't mean you're weak. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years now, and he's
Oh my
like,
gosh.
and there's situations that happen. I'm like, oh, it's fine. And he goes, what? It's fine. Like, you're what? Are you okay? And he's like, I'm proud of you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I know, I'm growing. I'm trying to just let it go. I'm not going to hold on to that comment, even though I remember every single word you said and at what time of day. And
Like keeping a log.
like it's so funny because people are like, oh, I never said that, or I never did that. And I'm like, no, you said that. Like, I'm not, like, I'm the person to remember every little detail.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I would also love to know. So I love to ask all my guests just to pretend this is like a radio station and we have people calling in to ask questions. And let's say a teenager, young adult is calling in and they're saying, Ally, I'm an athlete. I want to go pro, or I have this dream and I feel frustrated. I feel just maybe no one believes in me, or I don't believe in myself and I have negative self-talk. What would your best advice be?
Ooh, because my sister's 10 years apart from me, so I feel like
Oh.
I still have these conversations, and I guess the biggest thing that I wish that I had known that I know now is like just like communication. Like communication is so big. Like if there's somebody that is telling you that you're not good at something or you're not doing something, go directly to that person and just hash out the conversation. Like I
Yes.
wish that I just sat down with the coaches and I was just like, you know what? Like I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. And
Yes.
is there another way that you can tell me this without trying to make me feel like beneath myself? Like I just wish that I was more direct in my communication, because I feel like at that age you're too timid to talk to these coaches and to really understand what they're trying to say, and all you hear is the negative, and then you go talk to everybody else about it. And then it just lasts for longer than it needs to. And I just feel like one-on-one conversations go on so much better if you just sit down, hash it out, and you're just like, all right, how do we both get to a place where we're both happy with this conversation, and where I know I can grow from it without holding resentment from how you're communicating to me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You are so mature. I mean, that's so wise to say, because it is so true. And I fully understand that, because once again, I personally, especially when I was a teen, I used to just take things so personally and like hold on to it and harbor it. And then, make this little kind of check in my mind of that person's always going to be like that because they always did that. But I also hated confrontation. I would fear it because I literally would be shaking thinking of all the worst case scenario thoughts of this person's going to hate me. They're going to tell other people, about me, and then those people are not going to like me. But it's so true what you said, where it's just, you have to talk to them and tell them how you feel. And there is such an appropriate way on how to handle a conversation without, taking low blows and without making someone feel something it's not even necessary.
No. And confrontation is so hard for so many people. I get it. It's easier for some people than others, and I get it's harder to have certain conversations than others. And what I've learned from sports and not being able to choose my teammates and my coaches and things like that is I've had to learn how to communicate with different types of people. And some people communicate in a way that's more aggressive, and it also can kind of come off like they're attacking you, but really that's just like their personality. And like, some people are a lot nicer and like go the softer approach. Like, so I've kind of learned to not take it so personally when someone talks to me, and just really try to like understand the message of how they're trying to communicate. But I mean, some people do cross a line, and I feel like you do have to stand up for yourself when somebody is crossing that line of being hurtful, rather than, trying to be productive with what they're trying to communicate with you.
Yes.
But so many girls, I feel like, especially younger girls, just take all this crap from coaches. I mean, I had a coach when we went to the World Cup at U17s. His approach was very like, he thought he was a therapist, but he would bring, he would make us, we would have to stand facing each other, like with a partner, and we couldn't laugh. Like we were like this close, and we had to look at each other. And if we laughed, like he would just like rip us to shreds, and he would bring up people's home life, and he would bring
way.
It had nothing to even do with soccer. So I feel like there's people like that I wish I could go back and kind of be like, piss off. Like, how is this like helpful to us at all? Like, I feel like people are still probably traumatized from that situation, but these coaches have so much power, and people feel so powerless, and that they can't stand up to them.
Yeah.
I wish more girls stood up to their coaches if something wasn't communicated properly.
That's so powerful. And I mean, that's insane that a coach would do that, because I feel like that's totally misusing your role of authority in this power. And I mean, I for sure felt ways in just being a female business owner. I'm 24. I started when I was literally 19, and I've had so many situations where I, start just kind of feeling so small and so uncomfortable. So I go back to, well, I'm a girl and I'm young. So, and this person's older, or they have this title. So I can't speak up. And it's just so hard. It's so hard though.
Yeah. I mean, I there's, obviously there's situations where you can't just like go tell your boss to like F off and things like that. But I do feel like there are a lot of times where you can stand up for yourself, and you can have a voice, and you can just like say something back to someone, and they're just so shocked. I remember I went to a yoga class one time, and I brought in like my yoga bag, and I didn't want to like go put it in a locker because I didn't have a lock, and it was just like my phone and my wallet, sound was off. The class was nowhere near full. Like there was probably like 5 feet of space between me and the next person. And this woman, like older woman, comes over. I want to say she was probably like in her like 40s, like 50s, like older than me. And she was like, there's lockers for that bag. Like, you can go like, and she walked over to my mat. Like she had to go out of her way to come over to me. And I just looked at her and I go, is it really bothering you that much? And she was so taken aback that I had something to say. And I'm like, I just feel like she probably thought that there was this authority there since she was older than me.
Yeah.
Tell me what to do. And I feel like most people would just sit there in silence and be like, oh, sorry. Like, and I'm like, no, like you went out of your way to come at me, and I'm going to stand up for myself. And she was so caught off guard, and she went back to her place. Didn't bother her whole practice. Like it didn't ruin her practice at all. And it was one of those situations where I was so proud, and I called my mom and I'm like, I did this. And she goes, good for you. Because a lot of the times people get in their car and then think about what they wanted to say to stand up.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Good for you. I'm like, whoa, because it's so true. Because I mean, if you just, say that, I feel like people are so taken back. Like, oh my gosh, maybe I did step out of my boundaries. Maybe that was uncalled for. And I do feel that even if you're nervous in the moment, it's so much better to just tell people how you feel rather than what you said, getting in your car, going home, and then you play out all these scenarios for, like 10 days.
And it bothers you, and you're just like, oh, I wish I just had that moment back again. And I'm like, I don't want to wish I had these moments back. I want to take it in the moment and like just, tell it like it is. I'm so sick of like looking back and being like, man, I wish I stood up for myself.
I know those moments. I feel like it hurts you more. Just the coulda, woulda.
Than what they even said. It bothers you that you just didn't stand up for yourself.
I know. Oh gosh, I've had too many moments of those. Okay, sweet. So I would love to get into rapid fire questions. These are just super fun, goofy, just off the top of your head. Okay. So the first one is, if you could be any type of junk food, what would you be?
French fries. 100%. I love French fries. Like, I feel like whenever I'm having a bad day, I always just want French fries, and they just go perfectly with anything. Salad, pizza, burgers, like anything. Like it's just milkshakes.
Yes. Yes.
Things. I could be a French fry. That's what I would want to be.
Do you have a favorite restaurant or like place to go?
For French fries?
Yes.
well, like a burger place, it's this new place called Burgers Never Say Die.
Oh
And
my
they are
gosh.
so like, it's literally like a better quality McDonald's kind of place.
Ooh.
Like if McDonald's first started out like with their first shop, that's how I imagine it tasting before
Mm-hmm.
they became this huge chain. That place has bomb fries.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down.
Do it.
Oh my gosh. Second one is, what is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you when you were a teenager?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I've actually told this story one time before, and it was during Lululemon does like interviews before, like with their models, like
Yeah.
before they choose to work with you, because they just want to get to know your personality. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I even told this story to them, but I mean, I've been working with them the last couple of years. So
Oh my gosh.
maybe it didn't scare them. But anyway, so we're in high school, and I always loved hanging out with the boys, and there are these stairs like with the rail, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you ever remember being a kid and like sliding down them, or you like
Yes.
flip over them, like do like the whole circle underneath. And
Yes.
anyways, I was with all the boys trying to act cool, and I started doing like the circle thing, like flipping up and down, and mid-air with my butt in the air, I just let out a huge fart.
No way.
And we had this big quad where like everybody went to like hang out, and I wouldn't, they did not let me live that down. I walked into the quad later that day, and everyone's like, Ally farted, like, guys, it was crazy. She was doing the
No
circles in
way.
midair, she just let out a big fart. And I was like, this is honestly one of the worst days of my life. And as a teenage girl, like, you don't want boys to know that you fart. Like, that's the last thing you want.
I would literally like shrivel up and just like blow up in the dust. I don't know.
Oh my God. I'm still traumatized. I'm still traumatized from that.
That's really, those moments. I mean, it's just, I feel the embarrassment now, just of like,
Oh my God. It was the worst.
oh my gosh. And then the last rapid fire question is, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Ooh, that's tough. I think as I get older, this meaning becomes like, I guess I understand this meaning more and more, and it's, people tell you who they are, you just have to listen. And I think when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But as like I go through these new stages, and you naturally lose friends or gain new friends.
Yes.
And I really just started listening to people and how they communicate to others, how they communicate to me. And I feel like sometimes we're not always fully present when people are talking to us.
No.
And so I feel like we miss a lot of those red flags, or, and I just have started to try to become more present in conversations and listening to people, especially people that have been in my life that maybe shouldn't still be in my life, or or new people, getting to know new people. But my mom told me that, and I think that that's just something that's always going to stick with me, because it's always going to apply to my life.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so true, because I think, I mean, just the society that we live in today, we're so used to, we're already thinking about what we're going to say. It's just like, we're not really listening and then responding naturally. It's just, okay, so I'm probably going to say, and then I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like people are always just like, they're always prepared. They're always wanting to be prepared and not caught off guard. And I'm like, but the genuine moments are lost if you aren't really truly being present.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's so amazing. So thank you so much, Ally.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
I know. I love these kind of conversations. I could talk for like 400 hours straight of like, tell me about. This was so amazing. So where can everyone find you on social media?
So my main platform is Instagram, and it's just Ally Courtnall, ALLYCOURTNALL, if you don't know how to spell Courtnall. But yeah, that's my main platform that you can find me on. And right now during quarantine, we are doing a bunch of workout videos. So it's great, twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. So if you want to join our live workouts.
Seriously, everyone tune in because I've done some of the workouts. They are so awesome.
They're so fun. Kevin is such a great fitness trainer, and he's been such a blessing during this whole time. That's been going on right now.
So true. And do you have any fun upcoming projects that you want to tell everyone about?
You know what? It's kind of crazy because, some people are still able to work while quarantine's happening, and with modeling, all of my projects have kind of been put on hold, but I'm really excited about a shoot that I have coming up. I can't really talk about the project too much because it's a new, I've never heard of anyone doing this before, but it has to do with fitness. So I'm very passionate about it. It's something that you can use while working out. So we're going to be shooting that once quarantine's over, but it's catered towards women mainly. So I'm super, super excited. I wish I could share more, but that's a project that I can't wait for. I love, being a part of the whole journey and process from the jump.
Oh my gosh. That's so exciting. How cool.
I can't wait.
I love that. So yes, thank you everyone for tuning in to Reaching New Heights podcast. And thank you, Ally, for being so open and honest, and your story, just once again, everything that you've accomplished is so remarkable. And thank you for just being such an open book, because your story is going to inspire so many teenagers, young adults, people of all ages. And thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as always, everyone, remember to always strive for more. Thank you guys so much.